We talked about don't wait being mistake number one. Do not wait to try to understand yourself with money. There are people like me out there who help people understand themselves with money. And once you understand yourself, you are forever changed. Your relationship with money matters. I'm Michelle Perkins, and this is the Money and You podcast, where I will be breaking down your relationship with money, offering tough love money tips, and a money dating plan that will focus on lifting the barriers to success to help pave the way for better money practices and increased wealth. It's time to take control to live a limit-free life. It starts today. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Money and You podcast. I'm doing a solo show. I'm going to share a few things with you, mostly mistakes, and hoping that you enjoy this and can relate to it, because one of the big ways we learn about money is through making mistakes. And I've been thinking about this a lot, and with a little regret, I wish that we learned more up front so we could avoid some of the mistakes we make. But as we talk often on this show, we don't get a lot of financial education. And oftentimes we're learning from parents or other people who have made a lot of mistakes. And instead of sharing that in a way that we can learn, a lot of times those mistakes become the source of fears or messages that actually are designed to just keep us a little bit stuck, to keep us a little bit afraid from almost doing anything with money, because we hear about, the tragic outcomes of certain mistakes, and we almost feel like, ooh, let me just kind of stay away from this whole financial scene. So I want to impress upon you today that making mistakes is a way to learn. It's the way most of us have learned about money. And for people like me who have not only made a lot of mistakes, but have people on my show week after week who have also made mistakes and shared them, I feel like I have this wealth of ideas on the mistakes that would be good to talk about. So let's jump in, because I feel so strongly that your relationship with money, if you work on that, if you make that a better relationship in your life, and yes, it is a relationship. And if you watch the show, you will understand how it is a relationship. And if you're still stumped on that, I would ask you to join me in some way, either with my Money Date program or another coaching that we could do together, another form of coaching. Read my blogs, go to limitfreelife.com and sign up for my newsletter. Listen to the podcast regularly. There are so many ways to start to understand your relationship with money. One thing I have found from offering the course, your money dating program that I do, is that it becomes very, very clear what your relationship is and how that relationship is so important and how it fits into what you are trying to achieve financially. So if you are interested in being much more clear about what it means to have a relationship with money and how to make it better, I would highly suggest that you contact me about joining my Money Date program, which is a foundational program, fairly reasonable to join. And if you want to send me an email, Michelle, 2 L's at limitfreelife.com, or contact me in another way, please feel free to do that, and I can help share how that would work for you. But before we, I want to address these mistakes. I found there are so many of them, but I've chosen 5 mistakes that I think I've learned a lot from. I've heard other podcast guests talk about them and how much they learned, and how it really a lot of these things have really changed the trajectory of their financial lives. And I think they can do that for you. And so I want this to be a part of the financial learning that hopefully you're doing by listening to this show and doing in other ways. So I do believe that hearing these, if you can integrate them into your life, it's one thing to hear them. It's another thing to actually integrate the ideas into your lives and make some changes. Nothing happens without change, obviously. And so whether it's a change in belief, a change in your own mind, or whether that's a change in your habits and your behaviors and what you do, both of those are very worthy and are really the key. I mean, everything I teach is to combine those two things. Combine the money mindset with practical actions, and you are going to have a happy and satisfying relationship with your money, and you're going to have greater wealth and more freedom, because what we want is the freedom. Remember, we don't want money for the sake of money. Who cares about that? We want choice. We want freedom. We want to be able to change careers if we want. We want to be able to start businesses, retire early or late, or whatever we want. We want to have families. We want to move. We want to buy homes. We want to travel. There's a lot that we want to do. And that choice, that ability, is really what this is all about. It's never really just about the money, as you know. So, okay, I'm going to start running through 5 mistakes that I think you want to avoid, that you might not even be aware of. So let's start with one that actually came up on the show that I did with Kim Curtis. And it's a really important one. And it's one that most people actually, it's a mistake most people make. And that is waiting. Don't wait. Take action as soon as possible. Now, what does that mean? As soon as possible? Well, as soon as you've learned enough to know what action you could take. It does not mean waiting until you are in a certain financial position. You're earning a certain amount. You've already saved a certain amount. You're completely out of debt. Whatever it is that you are looking to do with your money, try not to wait until some magical point in the future where you feel like everything is better. That is a mistake that a lot of people make, that we all make, that I've made. And so, it doesn't mean you have to do everything right away. It just means take a step. Don't wait on something. Don't wait to start paying off that debt until you're earning more. Pay a little tiny bit. Don't wait to start investing until you have all your debt paid off. It's good to save while paying off debt. And again, sometimes those are teeny little amounts, but that's okay because you're building the habits, and habits are everything with money. And you're convincing yourself that you can do these things. If you go around saying, I just never save, I can't save, I don't have enough to save, and you shift that and you save $20 a week, you will suddenly be a saver. So you will see yourself differently. So figure out what you're waiting on. Figure out what you're telling yourself in your own mind. I'm waiting to do X until Y. How do you fill in those blanks? What are you saying to yourself? Usually we're saying some pretty weird stuff to ourselves. I could guarantee that in many cases, not in all cases. We probably believe it. We probably believe what we're telling ourselves, but we have to go back and see, why are we telling ourselves that? And where did it come from? Is there truth to it? Is it more of a gut feeling? Is it more logical? Where is it coming from? Because we wait because we're telling ourselves things. We wait because there are certain messages, certain self-talk that is going around and around in our minds, and it's convincing us that we need to wait. So the message here is, don't wait. Maybe adjust how you would do it, because it might not be time to start investing, $1,000 a month in the stock market. Maybe the stock market isn't where you want to be, so it's a matter of learning more about the options, talking to more people, whatever it takes in terms of getting yourself educated, comfortable. You may not be always comfortable, but a little more comfortable. That's okay. Do that if you need to, but don't do it for too long. Do it enough to get started. Think about it in terms of exercise. You might not know exactly what to do when you walk in the gym, but don't wait until you do. Just go in there and try some things. And as you learn, as you watch other people, as you see what's going on with your own body, then you can add to that. And that's exactly the same with money. Starting money is more than anything, although you could use the gym as a metaphor for that too, because the earlier you start, the better for that as well. But with money, time is a very important factor. If you can put little amounts of money away for a very long time, you can do it almost effortlessly. So don't wait. That's mistake number 1, is that people wait. Sometimes they don't even know they're waiting. They just either they haven't thought about it enough, or they don't think the wait is going to be that long. They think, I'll do this in 6 months. I've done this many times with many things. So, I don't have time right now. So in 3 months, I'll start this new project or this new way of managing my money. All of a sudden, 3 months becomes 6 months, and then it becomes 9 months, and then it's like January, and you're like, okay, New Year's resolution to actually start this thing I said I was going to start almost a year ago. So again, don't wait. And figure out, that's easy for me to say, but how do you not wait? Figure out a date. Figure out, make it like a little business move of strategy where you would put a date out there when you want to start something, what that thing is. Get clear. Clarity is everything. If you just put a big vague term like investing, that's overwhelming. That's too vague. You don't even know, what are you investing in? Why? The why is always super important. Why are you doing this? When we're waiting, sometimes we either aren't clear on what to do, we're scared, or we don't know why we're doing it. The why is that thing that pulls you forward. If you have a strong enough why, maybe there's some particular thing that you're saving for. Maybe there's a timeline attached to that. People get very serious, I've noticed, when they're either getting married or about to have a baby. All of a sudden, the why is clear and they start taking action. They stop waiting because there is a point in time in the future that they are going to absolutely need a certain amount of money. And that's the other thing, to start defining how much. And don't let that stop you. If a certain dollar amount is stopping you and causing you to wait, tweak it. Adjust it, make it easier. Do not make it super hard for yourself. That's the other reason that people wait. They make it difficult for themselves to move forward. So make it simple and make it a project with a deadline, a why, clarity around it. And if you don't know how to start, if you don't know what to do, get out there and either learn or ask someone who knows or who can help you. Okay, that's mistake number 1, waiting. Mistake number 2 is people don't like to connect with experts until they've made it to a certain point. They don't want to get that really good tax accountant. They want to go to, an inexpensive tax preparer, for example, instead of going to a true tax strategist, an accountant who knows how to save you money with taxes. And I find that's very costly. So, I was just talking to a couple the other day, and middle-aged couple never have had they have had one, but they were doing a lot more things, and they were looking for somebody to do their taxes, and they were going to go to a very inexpensive tax preparer because they felt like they wanted to save the money there. And I was looking back at their history thinking, wow, I bet the lack of a good tax person probably has cost them a lot of money over the years. And so while it is, more expensive to go with somebody who might have some great ideas for how to structure things in your life, it's an investment. And that's the point here, is a lot of times we don't connect with financial advisors, tax accountants, estate planners, a lot of people who could really, really help us because we just, we feel like it's too expensive. But this is not an expense. This is an investment. This is an investment on, frankly, your financial future. And if you can get better returns as a result of investing this money in some really good people, that's a no-brainer. I mean, it feels a little uncomfortable. You're not guaranteed returns, but it is a much smarter way to go, because these people in these fields, if they're good, they will help you to save money. That is what they either help you to save money or help you to grow money. That is their job. And so going with good people, and I will say there are people doing these jobs who are less talented and less well-trained. And so be picky about that and don't wait. We talked about don't wait in mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 has also a don't wait component, which is don't wait on getting financial experts into your life. You will benefit from it all the way through. So That's a big one. The other one is when sometimes we have these people in our lives and we don't take advantage of them. One of the biggest mistakes I made one year, it was quite a while ago now, was waiting and taking all of our tax information to our tax accountant, who was a good tax accountant, but we didn't know what was going on all year, and we brought it to him kind of late. And we found out we owed a significant amount of money. At the time, it was maybe $25,000. And at the time, that was a hit. I mean, I was in a panic about how we were going to pay that. And we were close to tax day, so there wasn't any waiting around. And I never forgot that. I still can feel the panic when he told us that. It was so out of the blue and unexpected. It shouldn't have been. That's my point, is if you have these people in your life, from that day on, I have scheduled a mid-year tax appointment every year so that I can bring the accountant, whatever we have, and we can, assume certain things about how the year will go. And we can anticipate whether we're going to need to pay taxes, not pay taxes, getting a refund, whatever that is. And it may not come out exactly that way, but what a huge relief to know halfway through the year or sometime in the fall what things are going to look like. So if you do have to come up with money, you have a timeline to do it. So I learned that lesson from making a mistake, which was I kind of just went along not thinking about it and assumed some things, and I was wrong, and it cost a lot. And so protect yourself against that. Both get the financial experts into your life and take advantage of their expertise. A lot of times we have these experts in our life, whether even bankers and people that we interact with. We don't ask many questions. I had a banker once talk to me just in conversation. I didn't go and ask her a question, but we started talking because I saw her a lot. And she started telling me about watching her credit score and how she had done it and the app that she used. And I learned a lot from her that day just by having a financial conversation. So engage people in especially the experts in the industry to help educate you, to help you learn, to help you overcome the financial illiteracy that a lot of us have. Okay, so that's mistake number 2. Mistake number 3 is similar. It is don't make the mistake of being money avoidant, which we often are. So there are so many things in our money life that, whether it's intentional, here's the deal, it's not always intentional, which is why we have to bring it into our consciousness and make it more intentional. We have to think about these things. We have to think, what am I not doing? What am I avoiding? It can be as simple as avoiding opening your credit card bill because it, grips you out and makes you feel a little ill and you don't really want to see it and you don't really want to deal with it. What happens then? Again, you're in the dark. You may need to come up with money. You need to know that as soon as possible. You don't want to leave that till the day before the credit card is due, because then what happens? You run the risk of paying it late, getting late fees, accruing interest. None of that is good. And then it's just piling on to whatever is coming down the road to just increase the balance on that credit card. I learned long ago, again, from mistakes of not opening my American Express bill, that no matter, and I still have the feeling today, once in a while, I'll know that I've been putting a lot on there and I will not want to open it, but I don't let myself anymore. I'm like, rip that envelope open and look at that bill no matter what. And 9 times out of 10, it's a relief to see it. That's the thing with avoidance. I don't know if any of you were procrastinators in college, but I was, and I'd avoid that term paper or whatever it was, and I'd be out, I'd be partying, I'd be skiing, I'd be doing whatever I was doing. And in the back of your mind, you never don't have that feeling of, oh my gosh, this paper is due, it's coming, I'm running out of time, how am I going to get it done? It's always with you. So this idea that you're avoiding and somehow feeling better, you're avoiding and just building up stress, basically. You're distracting yourself with other things because you don't want to do the thing that needs to be done. We do that a lot with money. doesn't help, then it leaves you at this point where you've waited for a long time and now you have to deal with it, and then it's also stressful. So there's stress the whole way through. I'm all about relieving stress with money at this point. We bring it on ourselves in many cases, and that is controllable. And so I think that's a mistake that we make. We futz around and we do all kinds of things that actually cause our own stress. And if you really break it down and look at it and unpack what's going on in your life, you can probably see that with most things money, we have more control than we realize. And we just need to take control. We need to see that we have control and actually react in the proper way. So no more avoidance, not addressing things, not looking at things, not collaborating with people, and not communicating about money. These are all ways to be avoidant with money, and we could fix all of those. So that's what I would ask you to do with mistake number 3. Don't be avoidant. Remember to look, speak about, and collaborate and address the things that need to be dealt with. You will feel much better. You'll feel like you're in power. Even if you can't do something, even if you have a credit card bill that you can't pay, at least you know. And when you know, you can take a different action. Maybe you just call the credit card company and have a little chat with them about what's going on with you. You'll be surprised. That's the communicating part. So not avoiding is looking at your bill. It's also communicating. You know, there's taking action makes us feel better. It makes us feel in control, takes away some of the stress. So don't be avoidant. Mistake number 4. Yes, 4. That's where we're at. Leaving things up to you. So as much as it's important to take control, leaving every move to you is probably a mistake. If you want to make payments on your credit card in a timely manner and you just leave that up to you, maybe you put it in your calendar, maybe you just say, I just know the due date, I just need to make sure I pay it on time. That's tough. That's tough for all of us. And we live in a world where everything can be automated. So automate that. Automate your payments. Take it out of your own hands. Retirement savings, absolutely automate. You will be shocked at any age. When you automate these payments, they slip right out of your paycheck. They go right into your account with whatever, you have for retirement. You will stop noticing it after no time. In 2 months, you will stop even knowing it's happening. It'll be somewhere in the background. It's just happening, and you'll get your statements and you'll see that it's happening, but it will not bother you. It will not be something where every month, if you leave it to yourself, every month that date's going to come, you're going to think about, how big that number is and how what's not going to get paid if you move that money into retirement. It's a whole mind game that you're going to go through, and you miraculously can just automate it, and none of that will go on. None of that thinking will happen. None of that, round and around about how can I actually do this. It'll just get done. So it's really one of the most, I think, amazing, special things that we can engage in today is not leaving things up to you to do. Anything that can be automated, automate it. Even if sometimes we don't know what's going to be on a credit card, for example. A lot of loans and things, we do know what they are. We can automate those easily. The ones that fluctuate, we can still automate a certain amount of money to go toward that credit card every month. It'll be over the minimum. I mean, that's how you should set it up anyway. And it may not take care of the whole balance. You can always go in there and add another payment. But at least you are successfully making the payment, not being late. Do not leave things up to yourself as much as possible. Last money mistake is really not knowing yourself well enough and how to relate to money. This is one that doesn't come up a lot, but it's very important to take some time to get to know yourself, to hear the talk in your head, to know the emotions that come up for you. If you are making some of these other mistakes, you're avoiding, you're deciding, no, I don't want to automate. I want to, make sure that I take this action every month so I can see where I am. Ask yourself why. What is coming up? What is the fear? What is the, concern? What do you think could happen? What are you missing by doing this? What are the feelings? The feelings that you have around money matter. If you've ever listened to this show, you're going to know that I talk about that all the time because it's true. They drive your decisions. They tell you, your feelings inform you, and a lot of your decision making is based on unconscious emotions. So once you know that, you can understand the importance of getting to know yourself, because some of this is helpful. Some of it was originally designed to help us, save ourselves and when we were in caveman times and lions could eat us. So a lot of it doesn't apply anymore. It's just fear based on the survival part stemming from the survival part of your brain. So if you aren't actually in, some kind of disastrous situation, it's really important to understand your beliefs, your emotions, and your thoughts around money. And the best way to do this, I learned this from a therapist many, many years ago, not actually around money, but it applies to relationship. It was about other relationships. And I wanted to fix that relationship. And I went into her and she said, we're not doing that right now. You can complain about it, whatever, but we're going to stop. We're not going to fix that relationship in this moment. We are going to have you observe yourself. So kind of fly above your head and watch yourself and observe how you feel, how you act, what makes you sad, what makes you angry, what makes you worried, what makes you happy. And just pay attention. Become a lab rat in your own little experiment of studying yourself and see how you do. What happens? What comes up that makes you feel like this? And what comes up that makes you feel like that? So honestly, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had because I didn't know myself that well. I didn't know that, when this happens, I get these feelings. And, we need to control our own feelings sometimes. We can't just rely on other people to take care of that. And that goes for money. So, and then we can make better money decisions. So knowing yourself is crucial. It's where so many people go wrong. It's why I do this show, because people don't realize. They just think they can, pick up a financial how-to book and start implementing. And why does that not work for most people? Because their feelings pop up and show up and their ideas come into their minds and they make a different decision. So, or they're following along and something comes up and they change course or they stop doing what they need to do. And it's not based on their intellectual mind telling them you don't need to do this anymore. It's based on their gut, their heart, their feelings telling them this is scary, I need to stop. Or, this isn't working for me, it works for other people. Whatever weird messages you have in your head, and we all have them. That's what's coming into play. So know yourself so that when things come up, you can say, oh, that's the thing that always comes up when I do X, Y, and Z. How do you feel when you overspend? How do you feel when you're upset and you go and you just shop to feel better? How do you feel when you incur more debt? How do you feel when you take a job and you didn't negotiate the salary? What is coming up for you? And what are the feelings? What are the reasons? Why did you not? What were the fears? Again, it all comes back to feelings all the time. So anyway, mistake number 5 is not knowing yourself well enough. And don't wait on that. We talked about don't wait being mistake number 1. Do not wait to try to understand yourself with money. There are people like me out there who help people understand themselves with money. And once you understand yourself, you are forever changed. If you're avoidant and you start relating weekly with your money, maybe your partner and your money, and start working on it, you are going to become non-avoidant and you're going to get to know yourself really well. But first you have to know that you're avoidant. We don't even know that we're avoiding things. So please, I made it mistake number 5, probably should have been mistake number 1 to get to know yourself. But sometimes I feel like people don't understand the importance of that. It is number 1. That is the number 1 most important thing to do, even though it's mistake number 5 on my list. So take those 5 mistakes that you may be making, maybe not, but they could come up at some point, and just think about that for a little bit and at least take one of them and start working on that as soon as possible. The more we actually do with our money, the more attention we pay to it, the more time we spend with it, the more we think about it and learn about it, the more we just dip our toe in the water and try some different things. Even though we will make our own mistakes, that is the path forward to financial well-being, financial wealth, and freedom. The choice to do the things that you want to do and be the person you want to be in this world. So thanks so much for being here. Again, this is the Money and You Show. Thank you for watching or listening. And we love doing this show. I'd love to hear from you. If you have anything that you would like us to talk about, if you have any questions for me, you can reach me at michelle@limitfreelife.com. And thank you. Please leave us a review if you like the show. Share it with your friends. And we'll be back next week.